have to cover the coup. We have to cover the coup over in Africa. So let's start here. It's another shorter segment. Our brother again, shout out Nico House. He puts together a short snippet, a short video to kind of give you a summation of what's happening, the coup that's happening in Gabon, and that's Gabon. It's pronounced French in a French way, so Gabon is the name of the country. Let's listen here.
France is just having a horrible month as another one of their African puppets was just overthrown, this time in Gabon. That's right, earlier today, Ali Bongo was overthrown, and as you can see here, the people of Gabon are just all torn up about it. Now, of course, some of you may be wondering, why would the people of Gabon prefer a military junta as opposed to the quote-unquote democracy they may have had before? So Gabon is actually one of the largest exporters of oil in the world, and 50% of that oil is exported to the United States.
Gabon has all this oil, but when I get to the videos of it showing the people of Gabon the streets, why are these some of these, because part of Africa is very well developed, but why are parts of these countries that have these natural resources, why are they so broke? How do you have a resource that everybody wants on the planet? Why aren't the people making billions of dollars off this money, off this natural resource of oil? And they got other ones, JB. This is just one. Nico House is about to tell us about the other ones.
Now,
let's listen. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, JB.
You know the answer to that question. But can please continue?
Yes, I do. So let's listen to some of the other natural resources this country has.
Is actually one of the largest exporters of oil in the world, and 50% of that oil is exported to the United States. Gabon is also the fourth largest exporter of minerals on the planet. Two of those minerals being uranium, which we know France needs, especially given the coup in Niger situation, and manganese, which has many applications, one of which is acting as a filler for batteries, which we know will be huge given this power struggle that we are seeing come about because of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So given those facts, and the fact that France has at least 110 companies in Gabon, you think that the people of Gabon would be pretty well off, right? Well, at least the former president benefited from it, considering he had 70 bank accounts, 39 apartments, 2 Ferraris, 6 Benzes, 3 Porsches, and a Bugatti in his 42 years of ruling. And the president who was just overthrown is the son of the former president, who has been ruling ever since. So I'm sure he's not too far removed from that life of luxury either. But as for the people of Gabon,
yeah, this is what it looks like.
Well, there's about 2.3 million people living there, and 32% of them live in extreme poverty, surviving off of only roughly $5 a day, which is absolutely unacceptable and ridiculous considering the insane amount of natural resources they have at their disposal. It's really starting to look like Africans are fed up with the West. You're either going to do business the right way, or they're going to oust your puppet, and they'll figure it out themselves. Either way, it looks like neocolonialism in Africa is dying, and I, for one, am absolutely here for it.
All right. Crazy. But JB, what say you about this video? I'm not sure if you've seen it before. I love these videos that Nico House does because it's a way of summarizing the story very, very briefly before we get into the details. But what say you? What's your reaction to this video here?
First of all, can we luxuriate on the outfit that Nico has in the video?
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Very, very power to the people, my brother. But, you know, to your point, yeah, people are tired. And it's funny because when you think about the free market, if the free market means that you dictate and, you know, you dictate the terms of what you own, how it's operated, then that's basically just like, you know, countries like Gabon, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. They're basically determining the terms of the contract that they have with the Western nations. And they're basically saying, yeah, you're not going to be able
France
to
is
come.
just having
I don't. The sound must have started again. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Go ahead, JB. Sorry about that.
a horrible month.
Oh shoot! I guess I gotta turn this off. If you
See you
move, it
later.
comes back on. Yeah, it keeps coming back on. Go ahead.
But it is basically like me having a store, and then robbers come in, and then they go to my stock room and pull out whatever they want from my stock room without me being able to have a say over what, comes out of my stock room. So now instead, what I did was I got a pit bull, a Rottweiler, I got a security system, and I got a couple of guns. And I'm like, yeah, don't you dare come to my stock room again. Now, if you actually want something from the back of my stock room, you better pony up the dough, bro. And now the robbers are getting mad that they can no longer rob me anymore. Well, it sucks to be you. Now you actually have to work for my shit. Pay me. So that's basically what these countries are saying now. Pay us for our shit.
Yeah. And here's the map. Here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. And the funny part is they actually are trying to put pipelines through so that they can get the natural gas up into places like France. And now places like Niger are like, yeah, you want that Nigerian natural gas? Yeah, you can't have it because it has to go through our country. And we're done with you. And so now Gabon is like, yeah, if you want our oil, you're going to have to pay us for that oil. You're going to have to bring up the, all of us, not just the people who rule over us. And so, yeah. So if you're one of those people who believe in capitalism and believe in the free markets, you should be cheering for this too, because it's literally them exercising their right as a producer of their own resources.
And I just threw up a map real quick, JB. This is Niger here. You can see that in the yellow. If you go south, and you see Nigeria right below Niger, then you see Cameroon. Right down here, you see Carbon, and it's next to the Congo. So just so for reference for you to know where it's at, and you mentioned some of the other countries you were just talking about, Mali, or talking about some of the other surrounding countries. So we see that. Hang on a second here. Okay, I have to see with my wife. It's one of our daughters has a minimum day, so we're both trying to see which one of us is going to get him, and she's going to get her today. So anyway, so let's show here. Now this is let me read the caption, because this is the guy, he's on house arrest. So just to recap the story, actually let me do that before we get to that. So let me give more information about what's happening. So there's a military coup, and they've taken over the country, and they have the president on house arrest. And this is just a little bit of history about the presidency over there. This Carbon has been ruled by the same family for many decades. It was first his father named Omar, then Ali. Ali is the one who's on house arrest right now. And then he has another son that eventually would be taking it, that will eventually take over also. But let's listen to this report here to give a little more detail before we get into some of the analysis of this. This is Daniel. He's from Montclair State University.
Gabon has been ruled for 56 years by the same family and the same regime. I don't know if people can imagine the scope of what we're talking about here. Omar Bongo came to power in 1967. He ruled for 42 years. And when he died in 2009, his son took over and has now ruled for 14 years. What that means is that Gabon is today one of only two republics, and I mean non-monarchical republics, to have been ruled for 56 years by the same family and the same regime. And for Americans who are listening here today, 56 years is equal to 9 American presidents under Omar Bongo from
9 American presidents. But this is the way, JB, this is how our government sells democracy to us. Because if you listen to what he's saying, listen, guys, we've been ruled for 56 years by we've been ruled by capitalists. We've been ruled by capital. I'm sorry. It's the dictatorship of capital we've had. Also, what is ingenious about American capitalists, people would get restless if we had the same person overseeing this capitalist dictatorship. They say, so we'll keep the capitalist dictatorship in. We'll just replace the faces so the people think they're actually have a say, but we're just given the option to replace by another capitalist warmongering pig, and that's all we're given. So the policy stays the same. We just rotate the representative faces. So we are not that much different as far as how we're ruled by as Gabon. He's just saying we go through 9 U.S. presidents, but it's the same dictatorship of capital that's in the White House.
1963, Lyndon Johnson to Barack Obama. And so the Bongo family has ruled without regard for democracy. All the elections in Gabon have been stolen. And I think that the coup is actually a restitutive coup in a sense that it's actually restituting to the Gabonese nation a voice that will allow them now, perhaps through dialogue, to rebuild after 56 years of what I might call a disaster. And so I tend to believe that we should support the coup leaders in Gabon. This is a type of coup that we should support because it is the result of, it is in fact a reaction to the fact that once more, Ali Bongo, the Bongo family, tried to steal an election. And for once in Gabonese history, well, the military stepped in and have now allowed for the possibility of democratic change in Gabon if we're able to negotiate a peaceful resolution to the crisis.
So I think we have a good sort of backing of what's going on, why it's going on. I do want to sort of dive into who is this family. So here is the Gabon military. They are in the house or the residence of where there's millions of dollars in this video. You see millions. Look at the just stacks of money here. They're confiscating bags, the shit you see in movies. Crazy bags and bags of money that they're seizing from the president or the former president. Deposed is what they call him, the deposed president. So let's give a little more background of the family. Let me take the picture down. I mean to put the picture up by itself. I want to read the caption here. The Bongo family in Gabon was essentially a puppet of France. Gabon was until now effectively a colony of France. The coup in Gabon is similar to the one in Niger, spells trouble for Macron, France, and Europe. Africa is getting rid of imperialists and their puppets, and this is the guy. I'm going to get to his video in just a second here, but this is the guy, and let me give you a little more background of the family. This is just a quick quote I can give you here, I guess, since I'm here. This family sold out the people of Gabon to France for 56 years. They must fall to the deepest crevice of the devil's rectum. That is hatred, because you guys, we always hate a sellout. To the deepest crevice of the devil's rectum is what he said, JB.
Oh my gosh.
And all coons, because that's why it's more of a disdain for a person who is one of you, who is selling you out. And so I get the disdain. And here is that president right here. Here is him. And it says, let me stop the video first, and then I'll read the caption. It says, placed under house arrest, deposed Gabonese President Ali Bongo on Dimba, I think that's his name, called on friends around the world to make noise after his country's military seize of power. He confirmed that he was at his residence. The military had reported that he was under house arrest, but also says he has no idea what's happening. The president's plea was posted on the social media networks of local journalists. Ali Bongo is the son of Omar, who was president of Gabon from 1969, JB. Think of this, 1969 until 2009. I'm sorry, 1967 till 2009. Yeah. Since then, Ali Bongo has been in control of an oil-rich African nation, which is part of OPEC, after just winning a majority in yet another disputed election. It seems time at the helm is coming to an end, and here is him speaking in his own words right here.
And I'm to send Ali Bongo Ondimba, president of Gabon. And I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world, to tell them to make noise, For the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence, and nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you. Thank you.
Hey, CJ. What he's not saying is...
sorry. It restarted. Hold on, let me stop it.
And I'm to send a message to...
Go ahead, JB.
He said, he said, he said, my son is somewhere and my wife is in another place. What he failed to say was, my son is somewhere in the house. My wife is in another place in the house. Like, he's trying to make it seem like it's more nefarious. Like, no, we're putting on and they just chilling in the mansion. Like, what are you talking about, man? And then like they are. Look, this man is lucky they didn't do to him what they did to the dog.
They lucky. He is lucky.
He is lucky that he gets to even get house arrest in his own home in that mansion. Yeah,
he is lucky.
Yeah, he is one lucky son of a gun. And so for someone like him to be like, oh, this is basically like somebody who, you know, has been abusive, and then he tries to call all his boys to be like, hey, come help me. They're actually getting back at me for all the abuse I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, you know, the United States and France and Germany and all them to come and intervene. Man, I'm telling you right now.
This is just playing this in the background as we talk, so you can see. You see the military there up on the stage on the higher ground, and you see just regular people cheering. Let's pull the sound in and see. They're cheering. They're being received as heroes because this country obviously doesn't want. So we're in a pickle. Because we have coups, we're in a pickle because we have coups, JB, which we are generally against coups.
Yeah.
But when it's a coup, like, are we against a enslaved coup, like a slave that tries to overthrow a slave plantation owner? Are we against that type of coup? So these coups lately have been drawn into question. Well, what type of coup are we talking about? Here's him with his family, actually. And I know this looks like a white woman. I think she's half, because I've seen another picture of her, of his wife, where she does have a tint of some sort of color that it makes her appear that she is of a different race. Here is Richard Medhurst. Shout out to Richard, friend of the show. You had him on a couple of times. He says, breaking military coup in Gabon. Gabon, like Niger, is a former French colony. This is the 8th coup in 3 years in former French colonies in Africa, JB. I didn't know that until I read this. A total slap in the face of French neocolonialism, aka Francafrica. I don't know what that is. Francafrica. The military have put President Bongo under house arrest, closed the borders, and annulled his election victory. A French spokesman condemned the coup, of course. Wow. Let me see if there's any other receipts. Here's one thing I wanted to show. Military junta in Gabon who took control. I'll read what it says as I play it.
Nous,
It's in another language here, but I'll read it.
forces de défense et de sécurité.
On this day, October 30th, we, the Defense Security Forces, meeting with the Committees of Transfer Restoration of the Institution, CTRI, on behalf of the Gabonese people and guarantors of protections of institutions, have decided to defend peace by putting an end to the current regime. The general election of August 26th, as well as the
Truncated.
That's what I was trying to get out. Let me rewind it so I can get the full thing out. Truncated results are canceled. Thank you, JB. Let me continue. The borders are closed until further notice. All institutions of the Republic are dissolved. Our beautiful country, Gabon, has always been a haven of peace. Today, the country is going through a serious institutional, political, economic, and social crisis. And we have to admit that the organization of the August 26th elections, known as the general election, did not meet the conditions for a transparent ballot. In addition, irresponsible, unpredictable governance has led to a steady deterioration in social cohesion, threatening to drive the country into chaos. Man, serious coup. So what are your thoughts? I don't know if you heard about the story or knew all the details before this segment, but now that we have the details on the table, what do you think about what's happening, what's going on over here in Gabon?
I would think it's crazy if someone like JFK was president up until 2014, and then his son JFK Jr. became president, was president until now. That's basically the equivalent of what has happened, and
that's like a monarch. That's like a monarch, JB.
It is essentially, it's a monarch, just without it being a name, but it's a dynasty. And so having that, when people in regards to what you were saying about coups, is that this sounds like a coup of resistance against oppression,
right?
Rather than a coup that the United States or any other Western nation tries to employ. It's just like with the United States. They will use coups in order to overturn a democratically elected leader in order to place a puppet dictator. But in this case, it's the reverse. It is a puppet dictator that is being ejected, and then they are trying to regain a more cohesive democratic government that is ruled by the people in reality, instead of it being ruled by outside forces that only have certain materialistic goals for outside in regards to their pushing of imperialism. So, I mean, look, only time will tell how things go with them, and if they're going to be pushing into a more civilian direction, which is what I hope that they do. I actually had Margaret Kimberly on a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about how she's not a fan of coups, but she hopes that they turn over the government back to civilians in reality, as well as, you know, in word as also in reality. So we'll see. You know, I'm hopeful, but I'm glad to see that, you know, somebody who is part of a dynasty is taken out and actually is allowing or opening up the door for more democracy to actually continue in the country.
Yes. And I think, JB, we can end that segment there. I don't know how you're doing on time. I do got another segment to do. And that's the Joe Biden impeachment. I don't know if people know, but the House GOP is gonna vote on an impeachment soon for Joe Biden. That doesn't So they're not trying to impeach him per se.
Mm-hmm.
They're using the impeachment process to get more information out of their investigation, because they are saying the Biden family is stonewalling any further investigation. So they're saying when you start an impeachment, you get more investigative powers, where a person can't just say, no, I'm not giving you that information. So that's what they want to do.